Welcome to the Lowdown Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is Ben Ingle, Regional Vice President with OnQ Home Loans. With nearly 3 decades in the mortgage industry, Ben has built his success on one guiding principle: serve others first. He's known for his consistency, leadership, and community involvement, from hosting educational events to advocating for veterans and leading his region with purpose. A true professional and servant leader, Ben Ingle, welcome to the Lowdown.
Thank you so much, Connor, for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor. And hey, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to bust the door down here on this podcast.
You bet, man. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. Get your story out there. Let people hear it. I know people will be inspired by it and will learn a lot from you. And but before we dive into mortgage, I really wanted to get into this initiative that you've been a part of that I saw on some of your social media feed, and it's the Suits for Soldiers. It looks like a great initiative and cause. What can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So first off, so Suits for Soldier, how it came about for me even to participate in this amazing events. So last year with Hurricane Helene, when it came through North Carolina, Western North Carolina, which I'm about 30 miles west of Charlotte, we were certainly affected. At a tremendous fact, the landlord of my building was actually killed from that. But regardless, we did a project called. We want to start off with 100 coats for 100 notes. For the kids of Western North Carolina. We actually had, my wife's a school teacher, so she had her kids and kids of the school to write notes to put in the pockets for the kids of Western North Carolina. We didn't just do that. We actually had 500 is what we were able to take, which was incredible. And I will tell you, the first one to reach out was actually one of the founders of Suits for Soldier, Jeannie Reichers. She's also a regional vice president in the Ozarks in Missouri. And let me just say this, when she reached out to me, she has done the Suits for Soldier for several years. I told her, I said, Jeannie, next year I'm coming to help you. I want to serve. I mean, you were so kind to send this. So, and to tell you that I was blown away by what Suits for Soldier is and how it's, how it's been over the last several years. So we actually served almost 500 people, 500 veterans. And what it basically is, and what the founding part of it was, they wanted for soldiers trying to get back into civilian. They wanted civilian life. They wanted to provide them with a suit so they could go on job interviews. Okay. Right. Now, one thing I will say that it's grown into more than that, to be honest. And I'll tell you a couple of the stories with it. But what we did, so I went up there. Myself, our president, Jenny, and another one of our regional vice presidents to actually serve. We were called battle buddies. All right. So what we essentially did was the veteran would come through. There were different vendors that were there that, again, not selling, but trying to serve. The veteran was measured for a suit. And then the battle buddy was given a card. So when we went down, we knew exactly where to go with their sizes. And we actually helped them to get a suit, a shirt, a tie, and shoes. So the whole ensemble, which is incredible. So I'll tell you a couple of stories. So one of the stories was there was an elderly gentleman that came in who was a veteran, and he came in, and his story was, I just wanted to go ahead and pick out a suit so that I could be buried in. I didn't want to leave that on my family, which, I mean, that's insane. To think about it's just a heartwarming, story. One of the guys that I actually helped, he was getting married. And when he told me, he said, I want to wow my wife when she sees me. She goes, I'm not a suit guy, but when we get married, I want to wow her. And so, and my general fact, listen, growing up, I was a big wrestling fan, Ric Flair, so styling, profiling, is exactly right, But my favorite story, and I'll conclude Suits for Soldier with this is, so there was the last gentleman that I helped, his cousin actually had to drive him. He couldn't drive anymore. And so when I came up the stairs to get the last one, and I said, all right, who's ready to style and profile next? And he did exactly what you did. He went, woo! So I knew we were going to have a good time. And so anyway, when we came down and just organically how we, began our conversation, and I said, so why are you here, sir? And his name was Bob. And he says, you know what? I want to feel good about myself again. I haven't felt good about myself in a long time. And I said, well, you know what? We're going to do that. So we went downstairs, we picked out a suit for Bob, and there was a shirt. So as they're trying on the suit, I'm actually picking out, shirts for him. So, and I didn't realize that I picked out a shirt with cufflinks, Now, this gentleman, he walked with a cane, so, he was a little bit older. And so when I came back, his cousin, she said, that's cufflinks. He can't wear that. And I said, well, hold on. It's about Bob. Bob, what do you think? Yeah. And so he picked out these great Johnson & Murphy shoes that were given away. And might I add, these are not just hand-me-down suits. These were Joseph A. Banks suits. So we're talking about brand new suits, brand new shirts. Nothing was used these were brand new suits that were given out. And so not only that, but the veteran at the end was able to actually able to put their name in for drawing for other prizes as well. They had a band there, fed them. So when I say it was a first-class event done by Jenny Rikers, I can tell you it's a labor of love. It's what I love being a part of. I love giving back. Certainly to, veterans mean a lot to me. My brother served. He was an MP. Both my grandfathers, World War II vets. And, we just, we want to give back any way that we can to our veterans. So that's what Suits for Soldiers is all about.
Yeah, I love that. So anyone that's listening, how could they get involved if they wanted to check this out? Is there a website?
So they can certainly reach out to me. I can certainly put them in contact, with the people, with Jenny and her team if they wanted to serve. So it's a great event. I mean, again, organically, for me, I'm there to serve. It's not about, hey, here's my card, here, let's talk about mortgages. No, it was really about just serving others, so that was what it was all about for me.
Yeah. I love that those events can become possible in this industry and that so many people get involved in things like that. I think it's wonderful just how even like tying in with home ownership, just being a part of the community, right? And I think Absolutely. It's so important to find ways to do those things. So anyway, let's jump into your story and how you got into the business and just, let's fast forward a little bit, I guess. Like, how did you get to where you are today and in the seat that you're sitting in?
So, a little backstory. So, I blame my stepmom, who actually works for me. She's the one who got me into the mortgage business. So, I blame her every day. No, I'm just kidding. She's great. When I graduated from college, I went to DePaul University in Chicago, came back home, and she says, look, man, I think you'd be great at this. So, I tried it, fell in love with it, because I'm a very people-oriented person. I love to, and at that time, it's certainly more face-to-face than what it is now, So it's really kissing babies and shaking hands. It was really right up my alley, But fast forward to, to today, I would say, I lived through '08. I definitely have the war wounds, for that. But I think everything has, in life, it has a lesson behind it. I think '08 taught me a lot about budgeting. It taught me a ton about, one, do I want to continue to do this? And really at the core, who am I and what is my life mission? I want at the end of the day, for me, it's more than just a transaction. I'm not a transactional guy. I'm really a relationship person. I tell my clients when they come to me that, hey, if you need to get a car loan, I want you to come to me. Do I do car loans? I don't, but I know who does. Hey, if you need a roofer, I want to be that guy that they're going to reach out to, whether it's investment, because what I have found is anytime that I've done that, you can't outgive when you're giving. I've always seen that reciprocated. So for me, it's about serving others in whatever capacity that is.
Yeah. And I love that as a regional leader that you're still involved in production. I think that's a really important thing to highlight there. Why have you chosen to stay in production and leadership? Because I know that's tough to balance.
It is. It's the Hotel California. Once you check, you can't ever leave, right? No, I still originate to this day. I'm fortunate to have the team that I have. So I've got several team members as well that originate, outside as well. But for me, I'm all about relationships. So I'm trying to build relationships with realtors, but not just realtors. I'm actually financial planners, CPAs, different attorneys as well. To be honest, I don't just look at realtors as my only base, because for me, if I'm looking outside of just the normal, I believe that I'm able to kind of give back more if I'm actually generating things outside. Now, I will say it's still a little bit more difficult. And I've always questioned, well, why would someone go to a realtor first, right, before they would get qualified? So those things, again, so another place that I try to do a lot is on social media. So I've got a little over 27,000 TikTok followers. So I've got the face for radio. So I try to educate, on there. So for me, I'm trying to look at every way that I can cast the net to certainly not just give back to myself, but certainly to my referral partners as well, so that they know that, hey, I'm not just a receiver. I want to give as well too. So anytime that I can give back, that's what I try to do as well.
So 27,000 followers on TikTok. So that doesn't happen overnight. When did you get started? If you don't mind kind of sharing a little bit about that journey, because I know there's a lot of people that struggle with it. They feel like it's too late or whatever, or maybe it's just not their scene, but inspire somebody here, because I know that's going to be something someone needs to hear.
So as all you guys see, I've got the face for radio, right? So I even question how I got 27,000 followers anyway as well. But for me, I think it's more how I got started. It's probably been 2 or 3 years ago. I watched a lot of the videos, and I'm on other platforms too, Facebook and Instagram, as well, and Twitter. So I share the same content with all three. But what I have found is you just have to do it. You have to get over that fear. Do I have people that make fun of me? Absolutely. My closest friends enjoy making fun of me. I take it, in stride. I think it's funny. But at the same time, it's something that I have a message to deliver. With 27 years of experience, to me, I feel like I have a lot to offer, not just a first-time home buyer, but if you're looking to get into buying an investment property for the first time, or reverse mortgages, or for content for our veterans. For me, it's about how can I cast the net to more people? How can they see who I am? And that, first of all, I'm a source of information. If I can be that go-to source of information, if they're looking to purchase or refinance, they're more likely to Google me. And Google's another part of my business as well. I don't do any ads there, but I have almost 100 5-star Google reviews. So I believe Google is an imperative point to where, once they try to discover, the first place I find they're going to go is social media. So if my content is there, if it's on point, if it makes sense, the next place they're going to go to Google before I believe that they're going to come say, you know what, I got to work with this guy, Right. So,
yeah, I think that's smart. That's exactly the way a consumer behaves, right? They go try to find you if you're legit. And then they'll go see social proof. Is this person getting reviews? Do they have, folks that say good things about them? And then now they feel comfortable with it, and then they come see you. So definitely checking all the boxes with that. I love it.
Which I'll add with Google. I'll give one tip with Google here that I find. So for me, when I'm on Google, I also have pictures of not only myself, but I've had some clients as well. I think it's important that they see who you are. Kind of a funny story. I'm a big Notre Dame, fan. I was in the band at Notre Dame while I was at Holy Cross before I went to DePaul. So, a good friend of mine, his father played football at Clemson. We were at the game. And so I had on a blue shirt, but you couldn't see that I had Notre Dame. It was actually, Notre Dame shirt on. So I had a picture on the hill at Clemson, if you're familiar with that. You can, it had the scoreboard, Notre Dame, where they had lost to Clemson. So after I posted that, the next week I had someone reach out. He said, "Hey, I see that you're a Clemson fan. I wanted to reach out and do business." So I was like, "Well, I'm not really a Clemson fan." So we had a good chuckle about it. But I actually secured a loan just because I made the connection, whether it's college football or something that relates to something that I like.
Right. Yeah. No, that's so important. So in all the years that you've been helping people into homes, are there any stories of a loan that really resonate with you still today, or one in particular that was just stood out?
So I have a few. One of my favorite loans all time was a guy who helped invent the Patriot missile defense. Now, this is years ago. I'm really showing my age, okay? So, and the gentleman, to be honest, he didn't need a loan. He was an engineer at heart. And in fact, while he was back and forth from Kuwait, so we're communicating, you're talking about in the early 2000s, so that was kind of a challenge. But I asked him and I said, sir, I don't understand. I see you're at, why are you doing this? He said, well, I just needed something to do. I just like learning different things. And I thought by learning the loan process, I could kind of understand how it is. A very unbelievable, smart, intelligent guy. So from that, I've also the other one I would say is I did a loan for a pilot that was stationed at Shaw Air Force Base. And so this is right after 9/11. He had not been deployed yet. And when, I had talked to him and I says, look, I said, I'd love to come down and see the jets. That's where he was doing his training. He said, I tell you what, when you we'll close the loan. I'll bring you back. We'll put you in the flight simulator. I said, hey, can I bring my father? My father, he's absolute. So me and my dad went down. It was an incredible experience. He put us in the flight simulator. I crashed and burned, of course. He didn't, but but there was two pretty cool stories about people that are tied to the military that I thought were pretty cool things.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, and then the other side of the business is the partnerships that you have with the referral partners and the realtors and the financial planners. What would you say is your approach to those relationships and how you provide value to them?
So for me, when I don't pick up the phone unless I have a reason to call someone. And when it comes to my referral partners, I do various classes during the year. In fact, I just had a class on social media on CapCut, which is a marketing platform. So I'll use it as an example. So for me, I want to set up and teach them about something that's actually working for me. Certainly, it's helped me, putting videos on CapCut as far as editing and all. For me, creating value for them. One thing I learned is that only 9% of real estate agents are actually using social media to promote their products, which I find kind of surprising. But but the other thing is when you're looking at the difference, and what I show them is the difference in putting just a normal still shot visual marketing asset versus a video. I have, you're going to get a lot more run because people can not only see your expressions, they can see who you are and determine, is that who I want to work with? Is he, really full of crap, or is he really knowledgeable about what he does, So for me, I'm always trying to look, whether it's that I've taught classes on Google. And of course I've done the normal run of the mill. Hey, let me teach you about, doing investment loans. I find for me that I'm always trying to think of things outside of the box that can help them, because if I help them, it's going to help me,
Right.
So again, it's always about having a rhyme or reason to actually reach out to my referral partners to say, hey, can let's brainstorm about where do you feel like you're falling short? And let's see if I can help, from a social media platform or, really just from a marketing campaign. So I'm
Right.
really just trying to champion their cause.
Well, and when you run those events, I guess how many people typically attend? Like, what's the average turnout for something like that?
Good question. So for me, I would say I've had as few as 10 and I've had as many as 30,
Okay.
so for those events. For me, honestly, the video class, we only had, I think it was 12 or 13. But to be honest, I made it interactive. In fact, at the end, I even put it out on social media when I says, look, I'm going to teach you how to make the videos. And I said, look, I'm going to let you guys take shots at me, and whoever has the best video taking shots at me is going to, my insurance guy, gave a $50 gift card. We had a great time with it, had some great videos, because for me, it was about how do I teach you how to use it? And let's have a little fun on my, really my account. So I look at it as in, regardless of whether it's 2 or 100, I'm in front of people that care enough to come, that they're probably going to reciprocate from the knowledge that I'm trying to provide as well too. So I'm always a firm believer. I've always said, hey, look, one referral partner becomes 2, because word of mouth also travels as well. So that's really it. It doesn't matter to me whether it's 2 or 20. That's really my thought on that.
Well, I love that. And it's something that comes up often in these conversations on the lowdown is that, these opportunities that the loan officer is able to manufacture to get in front of more people. And it's, consistent with providing value, teaching classes, things like that. It seems like something that a lot of top producers do. So for anyone listening, take notes. Uh, because this is something that is definitely bringing value and helping promote yourself within that community. So, Ben, you've been doing this a long time. Why do you love what you do?
I love people. I love helping people. I've always been a people person. I want to leave someone better than when I left. I think there's so many transactional companies and originators today and I get it. I mean, it's really about turn and burn and trying to produce as much as possible. But for me, I want to teach them about how you're going to buy the next house. How do you teach them about is investment? Is that something that you're interested in? I have a son that just graduated from college. I'll use him as an example. His goals is to purchase a home every couple of years for his own financial freedom. So is that difficult? Absolutely. But if I believe in teaching them not just about buying this house and maxing them out, but teaching them about purchasing a home. What's your plans for the future? And let's build the goals around it as we're going forward, not just about, well, hey, let me get you in this house. Okay, see you later. Bye. I think that's a disservice, certainly for our industry, and if we're going to continue to create value, we have to do that. We have to find ways to serve others. Otherwise, someone else is going to. I really believe that.
Yeah. And you strike me as someone who's a constant student of the profession and always looking to grow, whether it's personally or professionally. Like what's next for you as far as new skills that you're learning or things that you think will be essential for success in the next 1 to 3, 5 years?
For anyone who's new on here, if you don't like change, find a new profession. I mean, I look back to my first application where we were faxing approvals over, and I think of where we are now. And it's insane to think about the technology and how things are changing on a daily basis. So I love, you have to embrace the change. I'm not very fond of change, but at the same time, you have to be willing to go and do things that you're not accustomed to doing. I think going forward, I'm always looking at AI to make that's the next thing as far as how do I have AI to do tasks in a much quicker fashion? Is video, how do I cast the net broader to attract more people? So maybe we can help others to grow my team. So I think the next things that are huge, that are going to be huge, are really video. I think also when it comes down to AI, those are going to be huge things that you need to embrace. If you're not doing it now, you need to, because it will change your life. It's changed mine, and it'll change your approach. But those are the things that I'm looking for that will potentially change in the future here.
Yeah, those are great call outs. And I want to call something out because video has been a topic for probably 7 years or more. I mean, I can remember way back when that started to be a thing. And so start now is the point I'm making. Anything that you hear is like, this is going to be a big deal in the future. Don't wait, get ahead, be the first adopter and be someone who is a trailblazer in that, because it does pay off in terms of the events that you can host and the education that you can bring and the value that brings to those relationships that you have, not to mention what it can do for you just in your own personal business and lead generation and things like that. But there's so much value in learning something new and then just doing it. So I think those are great.
And if 9%, think about it, Connor, if 9% is only doing this now, you're not behind. Don't think that you're late. Today is the day. You got to do it. You got to start today,
Completely agree. Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, Ben, I mean, is there any bit of advice that you would give that you haven't been able to talk about today, or anything else that you want to share for someone who's looking to grow their business? What would that be?
I would just say be yourself. look for ways to give back. I think you can never go wrong by giving to others. If you are really, and it has to be sincere. It can't be, well, I'm doing this just to get something back. No, I don't. When I give because out of the kindness of my heart or me wanting to give back. But it seems like it always multiplies. So find ways to give back. Counsel your borrowers. Teach them about how to, certainly buy the next home. Those are the things that I look for every day. And I hope my legacy will be, he was honest, he was truthful with me, and he always gave back. He tried to do his very best to help me better position myself for the future.
That's great. Well, Ben, I appreciate you being on the lowdown. High five to you.
I'll talk to you too, bro. Thank you so much, Connor, for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.